Hey, good afternoon. I just wanted to make a very quick hangout. It's 2 o'clock here on the East Coast. Let me turn this sound off. I need to get some quick lunch here, a late lunch, and I thought I'd pop in and do just a real quick hangout. Just for those following the comments in the hangout that Chris and I had Sunday night. It appears that what we were shown wasn't what he was quoting as that reference. I want to show you an email exchange and just give Chris a chance to clear this up. I've called this, this little hangout is called bait and switch, ? Could be inadvertent, fine, but let's get it cleared up so that we can continue. So Monday morning, I did get this email from Chris with a reference with the link to that book that he mentioned. This is that book, he said, but I had already found it hours previously, so I was already going through it. In fact, I probably made my hangout before I got this email from him. I made a hangout Monday morning to discuss this very thing. So I replied back, "Good morning, Chris. I already downloaded that book and looked through it this morning, but I do not see the pictures you were presenting last night when you quoted this book. See my previous email to you just about 20 minutes ago. Thanks." Now today, I think it's today, today, got an email back from Chris saying, that document that I had up on my screen was a summary of that book in a few others. Or maybe he meant and a few others, okay? That book I sent you was one of the reference books for the information in the summary that I had up on my computer. Okay, so he had a summary up on his computer, and he's saying that this treatise on mathematical instruments is a reference in that summary, I guess. Okay. Well, I wrote back this morning around 9:19. I said, "Oh, okay. Well, then could you send me that too? I need that summary." I didn't realize that during our hangout, because it was never stated, the whole time you were presenting the page showing views through the tube and the telescope, you only mentioned Heather's 1849 book. I'd like to see the thing you were actually presenting. Thanks. Also, can you point me to the right page in Heather's book, please? Can you point me to the right page in Heather's book, please, that discusses the effects you were wanting me to learn about? Thanks. And a little discussion on the weather. It's cold here. Is it cold out there? So, we got to clear this up because if we're going to learn anything, we got to be clear on what references we're reciting or referring to, and what the point of those documents is in the discussion. So I'm taking this exchange very seriously, and I'd like to get this cleared up with you, Chris. I'll close that. I am presenting or preparing to place into the comments section of this hangout that I'm doing right now a whole list of references. One of them is this. Let me go all the way to the top. Since these are the sources of many of the references that I use, I'm providing it. And if these flaws and so forth are, you need to kind of go into these and show me those flaws. Don't pull out some obscure off-the-wall little side document that somehow secretly found this and then tell me I'm supposed to have already known about it. That's up to you to bring it to the discussion and I'm sitting here ready to learn what you have to say about it. If you have questions about geodetic triangulation, look up the reference for geodetic triangulation, learn what is published and accepted to be the standards and so forth regarding the performance of geodetic triangulation, and let's talk about it. Same thing goes for state plane coordinates. I'm giving you those references. Let's talk about it. The reason I'm scrolling down is because I wanted to talk about the fact that Chris can look up first order. He had a lot of questions about first and second order, and why wouldn't you use a theodolite, and why would you do leveling? And kind of almost, it wasn't a friendly question. He wasn't asking, like, in the reality, what is the answer to my question? It was more about, hey, what about this? That was the tone of the question. So go ahead and look it up, Chris. Here's all the stuff about control leveling, the manual of geodetic leveling. In fact, you can look it up for the work that they did in Colorado. It's on this list right here. You just got to go and say find Colorado, and you will find about the state plane coordinate projection tables in Colorado. And you can look up the triangulation that went through Colorado, Utah, and Nevada. You can find out about the triangulation that happened in Colorado. This is the guy Adams. I don't know if people caught it the other night on the Hangout. He was talking about whoever wrote the information about the state plane coordinate system remained unnamed. That's not true. It was Oscar S. Adams, and you can find that. And whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm just continuing scrolling down. Plane coordinates tables, state plane coordinate projection tables in Colorado. Okay, and that's about it. So you can look it up. The other URL that's going to be on the list of references that I'm giving you has to do with instrumentation. So you're citing and quoting some old references from the late 1800s that applied to equipment in that day, and I made this statement in a little hangout I did yesterday that maybe they did discover some anomaly in the equipment back then, but more than likely it's been corrected. Again, I need to hear from you exactly what you're saying about this this anomaly or this internal refraction. I don't think we really got to it Sunday night. The question is, does that still apply to equipment made today? So here's a great source for looking up anything having to do with optical instruments, geodetic surveying instruments, the vocabulary. I think that's another thing we need to do is get an agreement on terminology that we're using, because many of the questions, when you phrase them, I'm not quite understanding you because you're not using standard vocabulary in the surveying profession. So let's we gotta get that squared away to continue this conversation. I think it's worth doing. So here's all about optical instruments. You can look these up. It's good stuff. So that's it. That's all I wanted to. Oh, a little shout out to my my Facebook group, Geodetic Surveying. Things are moving past optical equipment, and many of the arguments Chris is putting forward concerning the use of instruments that they can't determine the curvature of the Earth and so forth. We're moving past that now. We're using lots of laser technology. Drones are being used. This is going to become part of the conversation as well. I even made the announcement in my group that we were having that hangout. So many of these references will appear in the comment. I tried to put the whole list in the description box for this hangout that I'm doing right now, and it said it was too long. So I'll just make a comment and then pin it, I guess. So this is a great book. It's going to be on the list. It's a huge book, and I found an old copy of it, bought it, and I found it in France, actually. Actually, someone in another Facebook group called I Love Geodesy helped me find it, and from an old book trader, and now I own it. I've had the PDF for a while, but now I actually can turn the pages, which is pretty cool. That's a picture of the Empire State Building, 45 miles away, on a very hazy day, on a day where there was mirage across Long Island Sound from a place in Connecticut called South Pine Creek Beach. So for anybody interested, come on over and join this Facebook group. It's a place where I collect PDFs of reports and things like that, and there's great participation from people around the world discussing the activities going on in their countries. This is a tour I plan on doing. You can look up this WordPress article. Someone posted this with photography of Chicago going around Lake Michigan. I plan to do that someday, get up here and get the old T2 out and take some pictures through the telescope of Chicago as you go around from these different vantage points, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, there's the famous spot, like right up here, I guess, which is the 50-mile shot from Warren Dune State Park. I think it's like right about here. That's it. Here's a pretty cool thing. People may not be aware of it. The longest line observed for geodetic triangulation was from Mount Shasta to Mount Helena, and it was it's about 190 miles, 191 miles from here to here on that little bit of triangulation that they observed from these mountain peaks. Cool stuff. Here's, I let people know I was doing some measurement of reciprocal zenith angles, very short lines in a park. And of course, the result was greater than 180 degrees on each one. And, that's not from some old book. That's measurements I'm making. And I've made these measurements many times, and I always find the same result. And in fact, I did not even cite these targets. The robotic total station does the citing, okay? It's an active target tracking type of instrument, and I'm not looking through the scope except for the fact that I took that picture, but the same instrument that Chris has, we established that Sunday night. It isn't something you're looking at. It is something that it does the tracking itself by centering in on the returned light from that retroreflector. And I guess I'll end it here. That's it. I just wanted to clarify and get clarification on the documentation that we are using for the discussion, and I'm going to provide I tried to provide it in the description box here, but it won't fit, so I'll add it as a comment. A pretty good collection of PDFs and websites that you can go to for all manner of related topics related to surveying measurements and standards, specifications, best practice guidelines, basically the things that surveyors refer to perform their work every day. And, that's what I'm bringing to this conversation. So that's it. I'll just, I can't check the chat, people. I'm sorry. Thank you for anyone that did bother to show up. I appreciate it, but I've got to get some lunch and get back to work. And I think I actually managed to keep this under 20 minutes, I hope. So going to have to say good day, everybody. Thank you. Talk to you soon.